Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to SimPlay Motorsport. It is fun event time, and my God, are we glad to be back. It's been just over a week since the end of the SimPlay Motorsport charity event for cancer research, and what an event that was. We can't thank you enough. We raised £2,172 at the end. That there was a few more donations come back in. Believe you can still donate. I think that's open till the end of the until the start of the new season. But either way, what a fantastic effort it was by all. It was absolutely brilliant, and we're glad to be back. Mathew Duffin joined here in the commentary box tonight by Phil Raiden, who joins me once again. Phil, great to be back in the box with yourself. It's been a while since we've been in the box together, and it's been a while since we've been on track. Obviously no action since the North Life. I think we've all needed a well-earned rest, and me and you get that little bit longer once again, just to put our feet up, because I'm still sore. I don't know about yourself, but I am still sore.
I'm definitely sore, and I'm not racing in the season anyway, so...
Oh, there we go. More rest.
But I'm running a team, so there's a difference.
There will be more teams, and we'll get into teams as the season comes around. I'm sure that if you're in the Discord, you'll be able to see some bits on the Discord being posted already. But it is fun event night. We do a couple of fun special events. And tonight is based off of the old rivalry of Le Mans 66, the famous film with Matt Damon and Christopher Bale in it, who obviously Ford Shelby coming back to Le Mans to take on and try and stop that of Ferrari. We've decided to run our own. We've picked a circuit that we feel is a pretty good mixture of Misano, of nice little bits for the Ferrari and then good straights for the Ford. And as you can see, it does look pretty one-sided at the top of the table. The top five are all Ferraris, but we don't know what fuel loads these drivers have been running, so who knows what will happen. All we know, Phil, is that it's good to be back out there on the track.
Yeah, I'm going to say this now, as I'm a Ferrari fan. Forza Ferrari dominating WEC right now. Absolutely dominating. Well, apart from one car keep clocking up, but it is Ferrari.
They are doing really, really well in World Endurance, and great spot.
I think that's why they're struggling in F1. They put all their eggs in the WEC basket.
Hey, great result at the weekend though for Ferrari. It was an absolute fantastic race, as was IMSA, as was the touring cars. Just everything that was motorsport wise at the weekend was absolutely brilliant. Kind of glad that our Nordschleife event was the week before now, because if it was the weekend just gone, we'd have missed so much action in everything.
Well, it would have happened, would it? Because we'd be watching touring cars.
Exactly. Evening to Benedict Varga in the chat, Mike Matthews, who's down in Portsmouth, and DJ Phil in the chat. Hi, go Dan for the win, he says. We all bringing you another fun event, another special event. Next week, it is the BMW night, and that is around... I can't remember the circuit now. Silverstone. BMW M4 GT3, BMW M4 GT4, and then the
M2.
The M2s are out there as well. So a couple of different cars out there on the track as well for next week. That should be an interesting one. That one will be brought to you by Dan Davis next week. And then Lexi will be bringing you the GT2 action in 2 weeks' time on Wednesday night. We'll be doing some GT2s around, I believe, I can't remember the circuit of that one either. I'm just going to have a quick look now. The circuit for the GT2s is Monza. Nice and simple circuit for people who haven't driven the GT2s.
Go Maserati.
And that's what I'm driving, because I'm hopefully, touchwood, driving them other two events. But for tonight's event, we have got quite a stacked field tonight, Phil. It looks a pretty good one. I do believe there should be 27 cars for this event, if I'm correct.
24 in at the moment.
There should be 27 cars. So 13 Ferraris and 14 Ford Mustangs. And I'll go through the drivers who are down on the entry list. So Dan Davis, Richard Bettison, Robert Ramsell, John Gooday, Rob Smith, Michael Johnson, Matthew Sturrock, Michael Harris, Catherine Lane, Andrew Aberdeen, Gary Old Sim, Matt Wright and Ian McGowan will be your Ferrari drivers for this evening. I think the only one missing out of all of them is Catherine Lane. And then we drop down into the Ford drivers: Benjamin Rook, Jamal Clouden, Dimitri Snye, Andrew Taylor, Damien Hibbs, Sam Greaves, Benedict Varga, Stephen Beck, Anthony Teenytooth, who I've not seen out there at the moment, new driver. Stephen Millington, Darren Bell, Gary Clawble, Kieran O'Reilly and Ethan Collin all out there. So I believe it is just Anthony Teenytooth who I've not seen out there for the Fords. So going to be an interesting one. Points will be scored. This is not classed as an official race, so it won't count for stats. But this will be classed for points in terms of who will win between Ferrari and Ford. This is sort of Team Ferrari versus Team Ford tonight, and that's how it is. Obviously, it is a bit of fun. It is for a laugh and a bit of a joke, but obviously, I say a joke, a little bit of a de-stress, time to chill and just get something out there race-wise.
One de-stress. That's all for play Wreckfest.
Yeah, exactly. That could be an interesting one to bring. One thing we can say, and you may recognise these colours from last season, you're not seeing things wrong. That is Kieran O'Reilly running in the MSA colours. So I said we get on to teams a little later on, but most of you will recognise that livery from our defending champion Sylph and Tordon. He is in the MSA car for next season. Under what name at the moment we don't know, so we'll wait to see what happens. But many a driver slot there on the track tonight. Andrew Aberdeen's not. He's in the pit lane. There's Michael Johnson, Rob Smith, Steve Millington, Sturrock's in the pits. Andrew Taylor goes through as well. So plenty of drivers out on track. 3 minutes left of this session. Let's go on board with Dave. In fact, who's just about to start a lap? The 663, Michael Johnson. Let's see if he completes a lap. And let's ride on board with him as we say good evening to Tips in the chat. Obviously today the sign-ups went out for everybody for the BMW event and for the Who Darren Ginetta Cup, Pro-Am Season 8 and Pro Season 8 as well. And the bonus, Phil, is that we're bringing in the new driver category system. Now, while we get into this qualifying session, the pros will be running platinum and gold. We have got a list of drivers, if they re-sign up, what category they will be in. And the Pro-Ams are running silver and bronze. This could bring in some interesting racing. There will only be one overall championship, let's point that out there. There will only be one overall table, but the chance of a class win is at stake and could be interesting this season.
Yeah, it could be. Well, I know what colour I'll be. I'll be brown. I wouldn't even be bronze. Because I'm solid and a soda thing.
It brings a new element, doesn't it, to the racing though this year. It kind of gives you a bit more knowledge on who you're racing in terms of sort of your category and who's sort of around you pace-wise.
Yeah, and well, we'll find out after the first race, which will be the Ginettas. Is it live in the Ginettas?
It is live in the Ginettas. It is gold, silver and bronze in the Ginettas. No platinum in that one because there's only the 3 categories in that. But yeah, even that's going to be a cracking night to see what will happen there.
Yeah, the Ginettas are fun.
As we know as well, it was tested last season, wasn't it? In the GT4 season, it was tested there to sort of see how it works and everything. So, which it seemed like it worked pretty well. Yeah,
it did seem like pretty well. Worked pretty well. Matt Wright put the work in for it.
Yeah, he has.
So I can't be fastest in this practice.
He is fastest. I'm just looking at the fuels of the best laps of drivers. It makes for interesting reading. I'm not going to give anything away just yet, but it does make for interesting reading out there. Sny's done the most laps at the moment of 23. Now, the session's been going for an hour, so it's coming to the end of that hour.
Could have been nice to do 23 laps in an hour practice a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, geez, wouldn't it just, hey? Honestly. That would have been...
It'd been nice to get 4 clean laps in a row.
That would have been the dream, if I'm going to be honest with you. That would have been the absolute dream. Either way, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button to like the stream. Subscribe to the channel if you are new and hit that bell to be notified, because we are 32 subscribers away from 1,000. So we are going to push for that 1,000 mark this season, and hopefully by the end of Season 8 have reached 1,000 subscribers. So make sure you get the stream out there, as always. Phil, obviously you're a Ferrari fan. This circuit, though, is going to throw up a little bit of a mixture tonight. What are we expecting to see realistically? Do we think that we could get a nice sort of even race here with the straights that the Ford can use and the nice tight twisty corners of this circuit?
It's gearing up to be quite an even race. We know the Ford is a bit more thirsty on fuel as well, so And we've got that with what's better on fuel.
I think the Ferraris, yeah.
The Ferrari's meant to be very good on fuel. Wow, Ferrari good at something. Other than clocking up pit stops. And not listening to a 8-time world champion. I went there.
Oh, that's somebody in the wall, and then just avoid Hibbs as the checkered flag flies for these drivers to...
That is a very, very bright and vivid livery for Hibbs.
It is, isn't it? The pink.
And
the green's even a bit brighter. Yeah, the green's a bit brighter as well, so it's interesting. See, if you are a part of the Discord as well, the Season 7 end-of-season results are in. Or poll is up, so you can get your voting on that. So to just a bit of fun again, just to get some stuff done. Swindle Mac in the chat. Afternoon and good evening, SimPlay and chat. Good afternoon and evening to you, Swindle Mac, who has come into the stream today. The 57 is out first. That is Dimitri Snai, who is the first man to go out there in qualifying. That'll be good job that's not in the season, because that was a huge pit lane exit.
That was a huge pit lane cut.
From him.
I think we need to get harsh on that penalty again. Go back to 30-second time penalty if you cut the pit lane.
That's what it used to be. That's what it used to be. That required people watching it though more, wasn't it? I suppose. But yeah, it's an interesting one. He's got Ethan Collin behind him, so 2 Ford Mustangs coming out on track first, and Dan Davis is third.
My mic does know where near my mouth mic.
On the track. All right, I've possibly turned piano up a little too loud there, Mike. So let me just turn him down a little bit. There we go. Marty says that 8-time world champion. Not me. Phil said that. I have to stay impartial. It's my job. Either way. Snai out there for the first flying lap, or to start the first flying lap. Not everybody's yet to have left the pits though, Phil. So people looking for that gap, but this traffic now with people just leaving could maybe just disrupt Snai's opener here, because there's still a couple of cars just leaving the pit lane.
Yeah, well, that'll be interesting. It's not a bigger circuit, this is a bike circuit as well.
Easy to take track limits as well here. Easy to just push the boundary.
Okay. Especially going onto the back straight, because you can run far too wide there, and then that's it, another lap of ruin. But at least it's a 15-mile journey to get back around the pit.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Especially if you validate on the Nordschleife.
There is 15 minutes worth of qualifying here, and Snai just starts his first flying lap of the session from Dan Davis, car 74. That is O'Reilly, fourth in the queue. Then it's the 557 of Benny Vogue. So a lot of Mustangs got out there early, Phil.
Yep, and well, Snow's not going to really catch everyone yet on his first flying lap, looking at the mini map.
I think he's fine. I think had the others left the pit lane of Johnson, Aberdeen, Sturrock and Clawbell, I think that's where Snai may have come into trouble, but they didn't leave the pits. They stayed in pit lane. The 34 yellow flag, not sure who that is. That is Harris, just possibly giving him a bit of a space to the car in front. But Snai currently coming down on a flyer. And what will Snai do? He'll be the first man to get towards the line. Brakes hard in towards the little hairpin. You can take into the little kink, now into the hairpin. He comes, stops, gets it turned in left to right, as then you want to flick it back left in towards the penultimate corner. Try and be greedy on the outside curb. That may have been too greedy from Snai, and we'll see if that cost him at the very, very end. That's definitely cost him. So that will be invalid, as Diz is now going to come through. Diz, a.k.a. Colin, going to come down towards the start line, and he goes and sets the first fastest lap. No, he doesn't, because his was invalidated. What about Dan Davis? Gets towards the line. He also doesn't set a valid lap time, so now it's Kieran O'Reilly who manages to go provisional pole before the 557 of that of Benedict Varga. He moves up into second place. Let's go to the 664 if we can keep up. First Ferrari of Ian McGowan doesn't set a lap time. What about the 105? That'll be Rob Smith in the Ferrari. Does he set a lap time? No, he does not. The number 8 of John Gooday. Can he set one? Yes, he can, and puts his Ferrari P4. And finally, Ferrari have a lap time on the board. Let's drop down to the 96 Ford of that of Sam Greaves in the black and red with a bit of gold, it looks like, on the rear. No lap time from him there. And I tell you what, a lot of invalid laps, Phil, first time round.
Yeah. You want to put a banker in first, wouldn't you?
You'd think so. Track temp up at 26 degrees. Here comes Robert Ramsell. Can he be the second Ferrari? He can be, and he can also be the quickest Ferrari. Jamal Clouden gets a lap time in, only good enough for second place. Michael Harris goes into third. What about the 63 of Old Sim Racer? Running bright yellow tonight, as we can see. No lap time for him. The 75 has had a moment. That is Bettison. We now turn our attention to Snai, once again, who's coming back around. For Ferrari, Phil, there's 1, 2, 3 of them all in the pits. That is not what they're going to be wanting if Team Ferrari want to win this tonight.
Nope. But they've obviously been listening to the F1 strategists and not the World Endurance.
There's Dan, Dan does get a lap time in on the board. Goes provisional pole just by a tenth of a second. What does O'Reilly do? Now the colours start to show who's on a lap. So Hibbs coming through now to complete a lap. What will he do on the board? He's P9 at the moment, shoots up to P7. What about that of Ian McGowan? He shoots up into P4. We're trying to get onto the 105. That is Rob Smith, gets a lap time on the board. Yes, he does. He goes 16th. John Gooday moves up to 10th, and I believe Ben Rook got a lap time on the board. Down towards the 96 of Sam Greaves this time. He's got the 68 just in front of him. That is Steve Beck, so watch out for S. Beck climbing up the leaderboard. We'll go to the 501 in a minute as Beck and Greaves both climb up the leaderboard. Rob Ramsell next on a flyer. So difficult when they're all coming through the final corner, near enough at the same time to get a lap time on the board here. But Rob Ramsell now down the start straight towards the start line. What will he put in? Goes up to P10, car 34. That is Michael Harris. 8 tenths off of Dan Davis' provisional pole time. Finds an improvement, puts himself up into P6. We're back down to car 63 again, which is Old Sim Racer. Can he move up the order a little bit? Goes ahead of Andrew Taylor. The 77 of Andrew Taylor now goes up to 16th place. So it's all changing here, Phil.
Yeah, well, there's a Ferrari first, third, 5th and 6th, and 10th in the top 10.
No improvement for Snai. What about Diz? Is he going to improve? Yes, he does. Goes P4. Now we turn our attention to the 74 as Dan Davis had an invalidated lap. What can O'Reilly do here then? Comes towards the line. Goes top of the timing screens by half a second. What about the 31? Who's not got a lap time in yet? Bettison hasn't. Where is he on the circuit? He's in the pit lane. Steve Millington hasn't got a lap time in yet. Let's keep our eyes on him then. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 Ferraris in the pits. 1 Ford Mustang. Ferrari will want all their cars out on track to try and take advantage of that and to try and take advantage of being up the order. As for Millington, here goes into P17, so a nice little lap there for him. We're going to turn our attention now down to 36. That is Jamal Clouden coming through the back end of this circuit in towards the final corner. Is there anything left in Clouden's tank here? Let's wait and see as he comes through now down towards the start line. P10 up to P4, so a good lap from him there. That's the 77 of Andrew Taylor's now going to come through with the 63 just in front of him. That is Old Sim Racer in the 63 Ferrari, who goes up to 18th. Andrew Taylor crosses the line and stays P16. What about now the 57 of Snai? Again, we've got Snai, Colin and Dan Davis about to complete another lap. Then we've got the 557 of that of Benedict Varga. Well, Snai goes up to third. Colin, what does he do? He stays 7th. Dan Davis comes towards the line now. Is he going to improve? He does, but stays P2. Benedict Varga now comes out. That'll be an invalidated lap. So let's turn our attention to Hibbs down the order. I can't find him. There he is. He's 9th. Sorry, up the order for Hibbs. Stays P9 at this moment. Car 14 of Ben Rook side by side with a 105 of the Ferrari of Rob Smith as they come through the final corner. This could compromise both their lap times here. Ben gets the run out the final corner down the straight. Does any of them to improve? No, they do not. The 96 of Sam Greaves once again coming round the final couple of corners here for Rob Ramsell. Greaves moves up to 13th. It's a good lap from Greaves. Rob Ramsell now P12. Can he improve on his time? Ford dominating qualifying, Phil, but all for the Ferrari sat in the pit lane.
Yeah, but as I said, I've got the F1 strategists.
Andrew Taylor near the back. Right, sorry, go on.
Did Benville improve? No, he's still P12. Behind Benny Varga in his Mustang.
Oh, Andrew Taylor just messes up the final corner there, and yet no improvement for him. Car 7 is coming towards the line. That is Colin. A lot of cars have just re-left the pit lane here. Tyres are unlimited, so they've got as much tyre choice as they want. Colin stays 7th. Back to the 14 of Ben Ruck. It's the Mustangs that are doing all the work at the moment, Phil.
Yeah, as Dan is back out on track. Still pretty much nailing this circuit. As Benny Varga saying he's happy. Dan's just come out of the pit. So.
Yeah, I'm watching Millington at the moment, who's at the back part of the circuit, coming round the final corner now. That's John Goodale, I believe, on an outlap behind him. And Steve Millington improves by a small amount there then. And I believe the next person on the lap is that of Colin, as everybody else light blue. So they are on not invalidated laps, but it doesn't go to the grey dot until you've done your first flying lap. So yeah.
Well, visual above. I think Dan might have been track limits there into turn 3.
So who's on a lap? We know that Diz is, and then we've got a few on the back straight, and the 664 of McGowan is on a flyer. 8/10 separate the top 8. But O'Reilly has 4. It's only 4 tenths between 2nd to 8th. It's 4 tenths between 1st to 2nd, so a huge gap at the moment. Here comes Colin. Can he do anything about it? To the line he comes. No improvement. We're going to go down to car number 8. That is John Goodate. Just behind Steve Millington. So the Ferrari good in a straight... Sorry, the Ford good in a straight line. So this will just be giving John big bit of slipstream here, Phil, as they come around the back part of the track.
Yeah. That's what you want the Lexus in front of you.
Yeah.
To drag you along.
Well, Millington ducks out the way as John comes towards the end of his lap. And let's see if John has improved at all here. Ferrari could do with John just getting that improvement done. Comes to the line, 1.9 is off the pole, crosses it, no improvement there. Next car on a valid lap that we can see. In fact, let's go down to the 664. In fact, no, McGowan's just invalidated. So let's check the 36.
Matt Wright's on valid.
Yeah, we'll drop down to Matt Wright in just a moment's time. Jamal could be on a valid lap as well. So let's just have a look here. Here comes Jamal Clouden, 7/10 off the pole, gets to the line. Nothing from him. Matt Wright, who was quick in that free practice session in the burgundy and gold, I suppose you can call it, livery, moves up to P3, puts it Ferrari 2nd and 3rd. Just a couple of hundredths off the back of Dan Davis, 4/10 off O'Reilly. That's a heck of a lap time from Matt Wright, that.
Yeah, it is. It's quite a good lap to get him up there. We've got 2 minutes of the session left.
Plenty of times for things to change here, and with a lot of drivers still in the pits, this is going to be interesting. Who is next on a valid lap? Let's go to the 57 of Snide. 6/10 off of the pole. Round he comes now. We'll check O'Reilly out, who's just behind him. Snide stays 6/10 off the pole. Does O'Reilly find any more time in his Mustang? No, he does not. The 75 is then the next car. That is Bettison, who could put a lap time on the board here. Who it says Jeff's Bagel Run on the side of his Ferrari. I find that brilliant on the livery. Ben towards the line. Does Ben improve any? No, he does not. The 16 of Dan Davis, does he improve any? No, he does not. What about the 664 of McGowan? I believe this is an invalid lap also, as Tips is saying good luck to all the drivers out there tonight. McGowan doesn't improve. So the next driver is Jamal Clouden on a valid lap, provided he gets the final 2 corners right. He's a fan of the Mustang, Phil, isn't he? He's drove the Mustang before. Yeah, that could have just invalidated it.
That's probably invalidated.
So we go back to Matt Wright. let's just describe Matt Wright's livery for us, Phil. I had my opinions to him on the Discord chat. Just describe your opinions of Matt Wright's livery here.
Yeah.
Exactly. The 105 of Rob Smith, currently 2.7 off the pole, needs 2 attempts to go ahead of the Ford Mustang of Steve Millington. No improvement for him there. What about the 96 of Sam Greaves down towards the start line? Then it's the 557 of Benny Varga. Sam Greaves stays 13th. What can Benny Varga do before we drop down to Darren Bell back on the SimPlay channel today? 57 is next. Who is that? That is Sny. Does he put a better lap time on the board? No, stays within 6/10. O'Reilly, does he find any more time and an improvement here? He does, and on his last lap goes half a second ahead of Dan Davis. So Dan's got work to do if he's to take pole. Clear your eardrums, Phil, because he's done it once. Bettison invalidates his lap. Ben Rook's going to come down from P10. And can Dan Davis take pole? It's a fun event, but we bring you the whole commentary here. We bring you all the passion. Dan Davis to the line. Does he get pole position? Doesn't improve a smidge. What about Ian McGowan? 9/10 off of the pole. Ben moved up to P9 at the end of that. Ian McGowan goes up to 4th place, making it a Ferrari 2-3-4 at the moment. What about this man then? Matt Wright. Can he nail it and put it on the front row? Can he find half a second on this lap? Still a few cars to finish their final runs as well.
Final corner for Wright. Trying to figure out which cameras are.
Oh no, that'll be invalid. That'll be invalid. That's a shame. He was pushing hard there. And the 96 then. So it looks like it could be O'Reilly for pole. There is no point for pole. There's only a point for fastest lap and the race win. Or the race position, should I say. As here comes Sam Greaves to the line. Can he get ahead of Rob Ramsell to make it another Ford up the order? Yes, he can. And the 557 invalidated. What about the 64? Who is the 64? That is Darren Bell, who moves up to 14th, knocking John Gooday down a position. And what about the 57, who was Sny? He stays P5, but it's Rob Ramsell, it's Kieran O'Reilly who takes pole position. And that is the end of qualifying there then. Great lap from Kieran O'Reilly, a 33-1. Heck of a lap time that from him. Matt Wright's last lap was only a 10th slower than what he did best. I think had he not had that moment at the last corner, he'd have been on for an improvement there.
Yep, highly likely. Well, there's 3 Ferraris near O'Reilly. And the 4 for Paris and 6.
We are using the new point system for next season, so it is 65 points for a race win. So Ferrari really need a good start from those at the back, don't they?
And of course, we're probably going to get the usual turn 1 shenanigans.
Would it be a SimPlay stream without it? We missed it at the Nord's Life.
Well, yeah, because there was only, what, 13 cars? And we didn't have the million-year warm-up lap. Of course, this probably will be one of the last hour-long races we do, because the season being 70 minutes.
Yeah, season going up 70 minutes for the feature race. Sprint
which will force people to change tyres.
Going to be interesting. Can't wait to see what happens there. And obviously the Ginettas, the Who Darren Ginetta Cup going down to
what it was with
three 20-minute races.
Touring car style.
That should be fun. Looking forward to that.
Oh, who missed the start?
Sam's missed the start. Yeah, Sam's missed the start. He's in the pits. So that helps the Ferrari drivers out. And we're underway here. For the formation lap. The poll is up. Who will win, Ford or Ferrari? We'll stop that poll in 3 minutes' time. So get your votes in on who you think will win between Ford or Ferrari. And when we say who will win, not who will win the race, who will win the entire evening of points, Ford or Ferrari, on that one. Phil, who are you going for?
I'm biased, so it's Ferrari.
Okay. I'm going to go Ford then, just to be different.
well, as many anagrams as Ford, and I've owned several Fords, and they were unreliable, to say the least. That all rotted away.
Who do you think is going to win the race?
Probably O'Reilly. Probably. But it depends on how much fuel has he got in the car to start with. Compared to like Dan and Matt Wright sitting in P3.
I'll tell you what I'll do is, I'll text you that. I'll message you that one, because I'm not going to give that information away on stream. So let me just do this, and I will message you that. When they've done a sector, because I can't actually see until they've done a sector. So they're coming into the back part of the circuit now.
Yep, the straight that isn't straight.
They've got just a short run now towards the line. It's going to be an interesting race for sure. So, sorry, Phil, who are you going for? Oh, yeah, I'll need to text you who's on what before you give us a race winner. I'm just going to go all out there and say, I think that, do you know what? I'm going to go Matt Wright could be in for a shock race win tonight. Why not?
Well, we should be double file by now, but
We're kind of getting there, aren't we? But it's only a kind of. It's not yet completed, this double file. You'd think of a few seasons of doing this, they'd have this bit locked down, but it always ends up sort of being odd. There's a lot of drivers still warming up the tyres. Track temp 28. It's only going to get a little hotter. But they round the final corner. And for the first fun event, we say good evening to Paul Williams. We are very well indeed, Paul. As we get ready then for tonight, it's Kieran O'Reilly on that pole position. And it is green and go drive-through penalty for that of Robert Ramsell and the 75 of that of Bettison. So two Ferraris with a drive-through penalty. Matt Wright, good start as he looks up the inside of Dan Davis, but O'Reilly keeps hold of this. Now Sny's going to have a dive on the inside of Matt Wright. Carnage in the midfield. Benny Varga looks like he's tapped Ben Ruck around. So the Ford drivers not having the best of getaways. That's John Gooday in the thick of a fight. Rob Ramsell had to take to the off-road there, and now has a little bit of a moment, and now that is Darren Bell side by side with Benny Varga. Darren Bell gets a good start and moves up a couple of places here then, but it is Kieran, it's Dan Davis, sorry, who's taken the lead of this race with Mr. Drama at the front. Matt Wright hassling the back of Kieran O'Reilly then as they come into the first of the hairpins. O'Reilly trying around the outside of Dan Davis, can't get the move done there. This allows Matt Wright to get a bit of momentum on Kieran O'Reilly. He's going to be on the outside though for the next hairpin as they come down in towards the middle sector. Matt Wright to the outside, gets that corner in a bit nicer. This could have opened the door for Sny, you know, to come through. But Matt Wright still side by side, Phil, with Kieran O'Reilly. We're going to see the Mustang power now as O'Reilly's just going to slot. Matt Wright slots in, defends from Sny. Sny taps the rear of Matt Wright. All stays nice and stable and clean, and they stay as we were. But Dan Davis leads this race.
Sneaky by Dan. He did that while we were not looking. And I wonder if you get shuffled down like everyone was doing that through Paddock Hill and Druids and BTCC at the weekend.
Yeah, I think
because once you're on that outside, you're gone. Yeah. That's it.
Indeed, you have. So it's Dan Davis from O'Reilly with Matt Wright, Sny, Ian McGowan P5, Jamal Clouden from Michael Harris, Colin from Hibbs, Darren Bell up into a good 9th place now. Actually, Bell's got ahead of Hibbs, so apologies there as it timing screens update. Benny Varga from Gooday, Steve Beck, Andrew Taylor, who's got old Sim Racer looking up his inside into turn 1, and on the outside for turn 2. He'll have the inside line for 3, but he's just got himself on the marbles a little bit. Andrew Taylor a little wide. This could allow Millington to have a look in there, and Rob Smith sat there as well. Great little gaggle and a fight here. Easy to get them them drive-through penalties for track limits. You've got to be careful as Millington and Rob Smith now going side by side as old Sim Racer made Monkey Boy check up just a little bit. Then it's Sturrock, Aberdeen, Clawbell, Ben Ruck who got spun around, Michael Johnson in the pits is Ramsell and Bettison, and this will allow Sam Greaves to get ahead of the pair of them. You'd imagine it's a long old pit lane here, and Dan Davis just, I'd say, gapping O'Reilly a little bit, but he's not, because of the fact the straights O'Reilly's been able to pull in. Let's go on board and show you how much the Mustang pulls.
As he shakes power, Clarkson's style.
Just gains and gains. It was half a second now into the corners. This is where the Ferrari's going to be better tonight. And this could be an interesting one to see.
It's going to be quite close. Because what is it? Ferrari 4, Ferrari 4, Ferrari 4, Ferrari 4.
It's an interesting grid at the moment. Rick Ford's got the upper hand so far in the start of this race, but it is very, very close from O'Reilly. Matt Wright still hanging in there, P3, then Snide, then McGowan, Clouden from Harris. And like I say, Darren Bell on a charge at the moment. He's well ahead of the others and putting pressure on Diz, on Colin at the moment. I've just clicked on as to why, Phil, that may be the case. I'm going to send you the link. And when you press on race positions on the timing screen, don't give anything away, but Ethan Collin to Darren Bell, that may tell you the incident here. You may have already guessed it in the chat if you have, but that may give you the reasoning why there is a pace differential. Steve Beck and Benny Varga going at it.
I've just sort of reopened Discord on the laptop.
Not much difference there. Beck gone a little deep at the hairpin. That's going to allow Benny Varga through. John Gooday's watching this fight unravel here. And John Goodall will be looking to make some moves, I'm sure. Old Sim Racer. Millington's got ahead of Taylor. Then it's Rob Smith, Mathew Sturrock, Ben Ruck, Gary Clarball now, Aberdeen, then Andrew Johnson, Rob Ramsell. Down the order after his drive-through. Stayed ahead of Sam's Greaves. Richard Betson's got to try and get back out in front. But Darren Bell at the minute putting on some real moves. Looks to the inside line on Colin. Can't find a way through there.
Oh, yeah. I can see why. You
see why
drivers are...
Excuse me.
This SimBot takes away all the strategy. Really does it.
If people know what they're looking for, yes. But saying that, it doesn't show you until they've crossed the first sector on the race, so you won't know until actually you've started it up. So actually, it doesn't give too much away as Darren Bell gets a horrible run out the final couple of corners, and Hibbs now looking on the back of Darren Bell. This is for 9th and 10th, and Bell lost a lot of time to Colin on the final lap there, and that is not Harris who's slow, that's Snye who's dropped down the order. So what has happened to Snye? Tumbled down the order. Let's look at the front of McGowan's car. Was there any contact? McGowan's car looks squeaky clean, so I don't think any contact there. Maybe just Snye dropping it on his own. So that promotes McGowan and Clouden with fastest lap of the race now from Harris. That puts Ferraris up a couple more places. Snye now on the back of Colin with Bell, Hibbs. Gooday's cleared that of Beck. So Gooday's got past Beck and Varga. In fact, where is Benny Varga? He's down in 22nd. Bit of damage on the car for Benny Varga. So he's dropped down to 22nd. That'll help the Ferrari cars out a little more with the Fords dropping to the back of the grid then. But McGowan now chasing down after that of Jamal Clouden, while Dan and O'Reilly are having their own little scrap out front. Jamal with the fastest lap of the race, and that fastest lap is a 1:34.280 from Jamal Clouden. And interesting to see at the moment, Phil, looking at that SimBot data, that a lot of drivers running very similar fuels.
Very, very similar, apart from ones who must have filled the car up. Almost to a grin, like you do a stint at the Nordstrom.
Yeah, exactly. McGowan drops that of Clouden just a little bit. Let's go back down. In fact, Darren Bell's still 9/10 behind. Hibbs has lost out a bit more. Millington's now on the back of Old City. No, he's not. He's not no more. Who's that? That's Andrew Taylor, who's lost out to Ben Ruck. Allows Ben Ruck to get through at turn 1 then. So Rob Smith and Matt Sturrock, they've got Gary Clarball behind them too. That'll be another 4 to take points away from Ferrari in this race. So let's see what's going to happen there. The chat went the way of Ford to win this one. Gary Clarball pretty much at a standstill as Aberdeen nearly goes into the back of him through the hairpin. So McGowan on the back now of Matt Wright. He's pulled away from Clouden. Harris is actually close enough to Clouden. So it just goes to show, Phil, on this circuit how ebby and flowy it can be, because Clouden was all over the back of McGowan one lap. Now McGowan's all over the back of Matt Wright.
Yep. If you're the same manufacturer, you wouldn't want to fight the faster car, would you? Really?
Yeah.
I know it's black and whites for the race position, but it means nothing stats-wise.
No,
So
it doesn't.
You might as well let the faster manufacturer car go. They're not fighting.
This I think is where it's going to get interesting on that, you know, team game sort of thing. Obviously, there is no team games. It's all just more that independent running event. But obviously, if you're in Team Ferrari, you're going to want to beat Team 4. That is probably just the way it goes. Matt Wright now pulls away a little bit from McGowan. Harris still close to the back of Clouden. And then we've got old Sim Racer who's gaining on the back of Steve Beck here. And Ben Rook's chasing down after Steve Millington. So good couple of fights developing. Claubel's on the back of Sturrock as well, excuse me. Now up front, O'Reilly now does the fastest lap of the race. 6/10 off the back of Dan Davis. We've not yet to see a Ferrari hold a fastest lap, but the best lap of this race so far, a 33.627 from that of Kieran O'Reilly. And that was done on the last lap, as was Matt Wright and Ian McGowan's best in the 33s as well. Dan could just be maybe saving tyres, but obviously O'Reilly's got the big slipstream and the big horsepower of that Ford Mustang. Two horses. Go on.
Harris is right on the back of Clouden, through the back straight, but this is not where you want to be on the back of a Mustang.
No, exactly. This could be, though, this section here, it could be close enough to maybe set him up on the start straight. Two horses on the badges of the Mustang and the Ferrari today, Phil. So it's a battle of the horses.
We could have technically had a third, Porsche.
Yeah, fair play. Fair play.
There's a prancing pony on the Porsche badge as well.
I know that Nintendo are Japanese and made Sonic, but I always feel like Sonic's American. It's kind of like
Sonic's
Mario versus...
Sega.
So it's kind of like Mario versus Sonic, isn't it?
Yeah.
In a little way. Good evening to Peaceful Stepdad. Paul Williams saying that the 2025 Pro FBR colours are looking fresh. Mind Harris 34. They are. If they're the new FBR colours, I am enjoying the blue. Great to see a bit of blue back on the grid. Favourite colour. Love the colour. Love the colour. Harris right on the back of Jamal Clouden. O'Reilly within half a second. Just looking at other battles as they cross the line and start to develop. Old Sim Racer now trying to get level with that of Steve Beck. Can't at the minute. Ben Rook is with them as well. So Ben will be trying to help Team Ford out by getting ahead of Old Sim Racer. But Old Sim Racer will want to get past Beck and then make Beck have to look at Ben Rook. Although Ben Rook's going to have a look on the inside of Old Sim Racer into the hairpin. No, he's not. Breaks early and backs out of that one. Thinks better of it and goes for another attempt a little later on to Ben Rook. Driving really well at the moment in that Ford, looking for the up and under. It's not your traditional hairpin, these hairpins. Like Phil said earlier, it's a bike circuit, so it's not tight like another one. It just seems endless.
So what, good job we don't have Monaco in this game.
No. But as Ben goes side by side with Old Sim Racer now, down the fast kink on the back straight. Ben moves ahead of Old Sim Racer. That is a lovely move past the Ferrari. And Ben Rook moves up to 14th. Sim Racer, though, lunges up the inside, comes back at him. And that, if he pulls it off, could be a thank you mama for the carrots. They both come through the penultimate corner. Old Sim Racer manages to hang on, bounces on the grass, now into the final corner. Old Sim Racer is going to just run a little wide out the final corner, stays in front, a flash of the lights from Ben, but a great manoeuvre from Old Sim Racer. And now they're looking to go 3 wide into turn 1. Ben Rook back up the inside of Old Sim Racer. Not going to get it done there. Sim Racer's too wide to that, and Millington's joining in this action.
Great little bit of side by side. Clean.
Ben late on the brakes. Pushes Old Sim Racer out of the way, and Millington gets a 2-for-1 offer. Steve Millington goes through, and the Ferrari loses 2 places in one corner, but Ben's very wide. Millington has a wiggle, and Old Sim Racer could be able to pounce. He's got that inside line on Ben. I don't think this battle's done just yet, Phil, as Old Sim Racer back up the inside, and through he goes once again. And this is a great little scrap. And this is all for 13th, 14th and 15th place on the grid at the moment. And I don't think Ben's wanting to give this one up, nor is Old Sim Racer, who wants to get back in front of Millington.
Ben was a little bit deep in the hairpin. Ben went as he was missed the apex, just a fire smooch.
There is a pit window in this race as well. It's 20 minutes long as Ben gets up the inside. This is where he did it last time around. Does he get fully in front now? Yes, he does. Sim Racer not close enough to do anything now, but will he think of maybe that lunge where he did last time around on Ben? Not close enough. Ben goes a little deep. Old Sim Racer right on the curb, kissing the grass. And Old Sim Racer now drops behind Gary Clarbel on the back of Rob Smith at the moment. So let's see what these two can do. As Ferrari lose out just there.
John's caught the back of Hibbs.
John has caught the back of Hibbs. Well, Hibbs on the back of Darren Bell and John Gooday with them. Obviously, 3 drivers from the Greasy Bandit stable. So, gloves off in tonight's action, I suppose, if you're John Gooday, your teammate from last season. And then Darren Bell, one of your drivers in the stable. You know, they're in the opposite car tonight. It's Ford versus Ferrari. Not Ford and Ferrari. There you go. That's how fired up John Gooday is. He's got the lights flashing. He means business in this race. He wants to take it to the Pro-Am champion of last season. Obviously, John and Hibbs, great season in the Pro-Am to become Pro-Am Constructors champions. A second time for John Gooday. He did it a few seasons ago with Dean Vigas back in the day.
Ooh, O'Reilly's on the back of Dan. Booms fast king.
Go to the leaders. Lex and Marshall. I join in and see the comms on my driver. Heck yeah. Who's your driver, Lexi? It's a shame Lexi's not here. She would have been another Ferrari on the grid, which had to pull out last minute. Kieran O'Reilly on the back of Dan. I'm just going to flick back.
Because they're holding each other up, they're bringing Matt Wright back in.
Yeah, and McGowan.
And McGowan.
McGowan's with him.
And McGowan.
Drop back down to this Darren Bell, Hibbs and John Gooday fight here. I kind of like to be in these individual chats as like a little fly on the wall and just sort of see, you know, obviously it's all done as a giggle, it's all done as a bit of fun tonight, it is just a fun event, but how much laughter and how much sort of get out of the way sort of is going off in the chats. John Gooday got a heck of a run on Hibbs into this first couple of corners here. Looking really racy, John, and this Ferrari's going to be really good in that first sector.
Yeah, he's obviously all over the back of Hibbs' Mustang. I completely forget now.
Oh, Hibbs a lot of curb onto the back straight. John gets a better run. Hibbs a little wiggly. Johnny's tucked underneath. He's right under the rear wing of his Pro-Am teammate of last season. Both going up to the Pro. John goes to the outside. Is he looking for the up and under? He's dropped a bit of time. No, he hasn't, because Hibbs has gone deep. And John Gooday is at a thank you mama for the carrots. Hasn't got out the corner just yet because the Mustang grunt as it powers back onto the circuit, comes back in front, and Hibbs manages to hang on into that position. This is allowing Darren Bell to get away. Oh, you don't know, Rob Smith is my teammate for next season in Pro-Am. Ah, there we go. So Lexi and Rob Smith going to be teaming up together in Pro-Am. So that's great to see another new team in there. So Lexi's teamed up with Rob Smith, and Hibbs then stays ahead of John Gooday for now. Millington has been passed by Old Sim Racer and by Ben Rooks. Old Sim Racer's back through on Millington. Gets another place back for the Ferrari. John Gooday's looking to make up some points for the Ferrari as well. And look at that out front, Phil. As Millington actually just going to the outside of Old Sim. Can't do it. Look at out front. Matt Wright getting within a second now. A drive-through penalty. Michael Johnson. Track limits. First one of the evening. And it is Ferrari. He's only going to lose out 2 places, though, to the other Fords.
Yeah, and, well, how long was that? 17 minutes before we got track limits penalty?
Yep, 17 minutes.
The track is the black bit between the white lines.
The white lines. Evening to Chris. How is everyone after the charity event? Still sore, Chris. Still a bit tender.
I'm dead.
At the moment. Matt Wright is right on these leaders, you know. Let's just drop back down to John Gooday and Hibbs as I catch the wrong button on my controller. Hibbs and Gooday going side by side. I think Gooday's just got that inside line coming into the hairpin. He has. Hibbs gives him a wide berth, looks to tuck underneath, but the tighter line out the corner's not the best as we saw last night. As we saw last lap, sorry. And Gooday gets another place for Ferrari. That's more points away from the Fords. Michael Johnson into the pits. John Gooday moves up a spot. And now look, Dan Davis with O'Reilly right on the back of him. And now he's got McGowan for company. They have dropped Gowdy.
Oh, Matt Wright's lost it. He lost the rear.
He has.
Didn't lose a position, but he's lost time to McGowan.
He has lost time to McGowan. So it's Dan, O'Reilly, Matt Wright, McGowan, Jamal Clouden, Michael Harris, Snide, E. Collin, D. Bell, John Gooday Damien Hibbs, Ben Rooks, Steve Beck, Gary Oldsim, Steve Millington, Andrew Taylor, Gary Clawell did get past Sturrock. Then it's Rob Smith with Benny Varga right on the back of him. They've got Andrew Aberdeen for company as well. Benny Varga looks a little loose through that middle section there. And they all try and get it tightened back up. Rob Ramsell's 12 seconds off of these, so Rob will be looking to make up places. Michael Johnson out the pits after he completes his drive-through penalty. Stayed ahead of Bettison. Which AMR is faster on AVG? What's AVG? I know what AVG was. I'll be able to tell you.
It'll still be the V8. The V12's heavy.
I mean, faster possibly the V12, but better is the V8.
In a straight line.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Better is the V8. AVG, I don't even know what AVG is.
Average. On average. It could be average.
Oh, yeah, faster on average. Yeah. V8.
The V8, yeah, because it's newer. Unless we get the Evo version.
I mean, hey, I'd love for you to... Well, apparently there's an update coming within the month. But we're not sure if that's PC or not. Cars and Tracks may be on it. So, Lexi, you've got to think we're old. So we may not get abbreviations. As Benedict Varga still putting pressure on that of Rob Smith.
In other words, stop being lazy and type the whole word.
Yes, type the whole word, because we're too old to understand an abbreviation. Benedict Varga, great up and under here. Getting up the inside of Rob Smith, coming down the back straight. The red and green of Benny Varga with that bit of white in the middle. Obviously the Hungarian flag colours of the Hungarian driver who's hungry for more places and gets one of Rob Smith. Did you see what he did there, Phil? It was brilliant.
It was.
Thank you.
But he's driving for Team Great Britain in Pro-Am and GT4. So that is...
Shh, keep it on your laps. I did like the video that he released, actually, to be fair. 77, Andrew Taylor. What a shock drive-through penalty for him to complete within 2 laps. Yeah. I'm not... He's the one person I expected to get a drive-through around here. Although, broke his curse of getting a drive-through at every Donington Park race he's done. So well done, Andrew Taylor, but you've made up for it in this one, 20 minutes into the race.
Sniffing the back of Dan.
Let's just take a quick look at that. Right, he's not as close as John Gooday. I'm going back to that John Gooday Darren Bell fight.
Pits are open.
As Benny Varga gains a place for Ford over Ferrari, John Gooday looks to gain a place back for Ferrari over Ford. The bonus is one of the Fords have now got a drive-through, but 3 Ferraris have had a drive-through and only 2 Fords. The 75 yellow flag. Who is the 75? That is Bettison, so a bit of a yellow flag out the final corner. 663 is in. That is Michael Johnson in for an early stop. What will these drivers do? It is the old format of 25 seconds stationary. And if you do change the tyres in this race...
Tordok is in chat.
Tordok is in chat. Well, good evening to Tordok. Shame you're not out there, buddy. But I'm sure he is very swayed on what car to go. John Gooday into the pit lane, back to the battle at the front.
Yeah, John for the undercut as Ben looks very quick at the pits behind him.
Who did?
Ben.
So Ben looked very quick.
It's a quick way to slow down the car, just hit the wall.
Yeah, or if you're older, hit the Lamborghini in front of you. Evening, Dan. As O'Reilly is putting some pressure on Dan Davis. We've got Ian McGowan putting pressure on the back of...
Who's doing it? Are you racing Genettas?
I am racing Genettas, but Dan's not. Dan's commentating them, so sadly I can't do it again. Bettison yellow flag on the inside of the corner, so he has stayed out the way. But the top 4 pretty together. They're well clear of Clouden, and Clouden's dropped Harris a good amount. Hibbs now close to Bell. John going for that undercut, I'm going to assume. As John Gooday done, Michael Johnson done, Andrew Aberdeen is on the back of Rob Smith, but that is Ferrari versus Ferrari. We've got Ferrari versus Ford in Ultim Racer trying to get back ahead of Steve Beck here.
Yeah, it is 13 races next season.
It is 13 round, Paul. Yep, 13 weeks. I'll be back out on track when I've sorted my vibration issue out. Oh, what's the problem with the vibration, Chris?
Oh,
Craig, sorry. I don't like it calling me Chris.
O'Reilly had a little look at Dan.
Yeah. Dan's just controlling this at the moment, isn't he? But O'Reilly's now starting to pounce.
Or getting frustrated. Because the question is, do you change tyres?
This is the biggest question. Well, Hibbs is in the pits
to cover off his own teammate.
Well, let's not forget, he was just behind Gooday, wasn't he? On the track when John pitted. So, what you lose for a pit stop around here, if you wish to change tyres, you lose 63 seconds. If you don't, it's only 58 if you just do the standard pit stop. So, provided you hit your marks correct, as Sturrock comes in as well. Did Andrew Taylor do his drive-through? Yes, he did, and lost out to Rob Ramsell and Sturrock and Rob Smith and Andrew Aberdeen. So that was another couple of places for Ferrari there. As John Gooday, yellow flag, had a bit of a moment on the back straight. Could that help Damien Hibbs, who's on his way out the pit lane? And with John Gooday, he got Ben Ruck catching him down. That's not what John needs for Team Ferrari. Lexi saying Zolder, Monza, Zandvoort, Kota, Barcelona, Nürburgring GP. There is no Nürburgring on the calendar next season, is there? Sure there isn't. Am I being stupid? There is Nürburgring. Congratulations, Lexi. You are correct. Nürburgring GP, Misano, Paul Ricard, Suzuka, Laguna Seca, Snetterton, Valencia and Donington. Apparently my rig is shaking the flats downstairs ceiling. Going to buy some shock absorbing mats tomorrow, so hopefully that fixes it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Matt Sturrock leaving the pit lane at the moment as well. John Gooday, did he get out ahead of Hibbs? Yes, he did. So even with his moment, back to the front though, O'Reilly and Dan Davis now defending, says Phil. Is Dan on O'Reilly, and O'Reilly going around the outside line. Dan could really do with Matt McGowan getting on the back of him here. Drive-through penalty, Robert Ramsell. That's his second one of the evening. He jumped the start, now he's took track limits. Oh, O'Reilly has a look, just tapped the rear of Dan a little bit there.
But because they're battling, they're bringing Matt right in. Who's two Ferraris behind Dan. Dan's got Ferrari backup.
Chinese has just turned up back in 5, says Paul Williams in the chat.
Where's mine?
Oh, that'd be lovely. A bit of chicken chow mein right now would go a long way. Matt Wright gaining on Kieran O'Reilly.
Are we sure it's chicken?
I don't know. It's nice either way. I think this, Phil, could be a question of who blinks first between these four in the pits.
Well, yeah.
We still don't get that answer this time around. Yeah, we still don't get that answer. Ramsell's in the pit. That'll be for his drive-through penalty. The 75 is in. That is Bettison, who's now on his way. O'Reilly to the outside line. Drive-through cleared for Ramsell. He comes out in front of John Gooday. Drivers have 14 minutes left to do the pit window. And look at these. Separated by just over a second, the front four. Last time Matt Wright was this close to Kieran O'Reilly, though, he did drop the rear, let's not forget. But Dan will be needing this. Dan will be wanting Matt Wright and McGowan to just pressurise Kieran O'Reilly and just give him a bit of breathing space. Stop-go penalty for 75. That's right, Bettison, isn't it? Yep, speeding in the pit lane for him.
I knew it was going to happen because this pit lane's a bit of a git.
You come out of the final corner, you put your foot down to get to the pit lane, don't you? And the line comes up.
Yeah.
Chorlock here. Did we race Nürburgring GP last season? I thought it was only tracks that weren't used last season. No, I don't think we did do Nürburgring last season.
You did do Nürburgring GP.
We did.
But there's only so many tracks we can do.
No, it's not Nürburgring. It's Hungaroring. Sorry. It's not the Nürburgring. So after Barcelona, it's the Hungaroring, not the Nürburgring. Apologies.
What a battle for the top four, though.
Yeah, fantastic, isn't it? Matt Wright's just dropped off a little bit.
Who blinks? Someone's going to blink first.
Matt Wright.
Not Dan.
Matt Wright.
Matt Wright.
He's in. What about Harris and Clouden? They stay out. Harris got within half a second, nothing there. Colin within 6/10 of Snai. Now then it's Darren Bell, Steve Beck. Old Sim still hunting down Steve Beck here. Drop down the order. Hibbs trying to get on the back of Gooday, who's got Ben Ruck on the back of him. So Ben Ruck and Hibbs, both Ford drivers for this evening.
Yeah, I mean, while the battle for the lead rages on,
Yeah, but now they've got McGowan who can try and close down on them, not Matt Wright. So what will happen there is Ferrari would love to take a win, especially considering we had pretty much a good Ford-dominated season.
Well, yeah. Did we just?
Bit of bragging rights going into next season.
What's that open car?
Look at that fight in front of them. That is the John Gooday, Hibbs and Ben Rook fight just ahead of the leading trio. So there's a scrap here for 21st, 22nd and 20th. And there's a scrap for 1, 2, 3 just behind them. But yeah, these have all pitted. And then there's a scrap for the race lead right behind these three. So these three will be getting the blue flags. Unless one of these front three decide to blink. Dan comes in, O'Reilly stays out, and McGowan stays out. The problem, I think Dan has possibly pulled a blinder, because with the three ahead of this train battling,
and they're going to catch and be held up.
O'Reilly's going to catch the pack, and they're going to be held up, and Matt Wright and Dan have both pitted, so this could be a little juicy. John's just started to pull away as Beck and Millington leave the pits. That's John Gooday back ahead of a couple more Ford drivers, or is it? Yes, that was Bettison just getting off the road there, coming through this tricky section. That's Rob Ramsell in front. That is for position, but Rob Ramsell has still got to pit. So John at the moment flying out there on the circuit, and he's got Ben and Hibbs having a little ding-dong behind him. Darren Bell into the pit lane as well, Phil, so let's see where John will be over Darren Bell, because John was on the back of him as he pitted.
Yeah, and Dan, it's quite a long stop for Dan. I think that's tyres.
I think that's probably wise as well. Dan Davis now released from his box. Down he goes, and away he goes.
For another eon, just to get to the pit limit, or just right on the exit of the pit onto the circuit, at least for Hungaro, for Misano.
So Dan now not yet off the limiter. And don't worry, he's not lagging out, he's not leaving the circuit. That's the pit lane. Kind of misses out that first section of corners. John Gooday's made a mistake. He's dropped behind Damien Hibbs now, as Ben's having a look. We was watching Ben and Hibbs, and John was wide. So John's had a moment somewhere.
Right, just O'Reilly cover Dan. Yes, O'Reilly's in.
Right, so O'Reilly's in. He didn't catch the train. So them two didn't catch the train, but now John Gooday's got to try and get back past Hibbs once again for Team Ferrari. Darren Bell's coming out the pits. I'd say they've all jumped him, but he'll be coming off the limiter in a moment. It'll be flat scat out the pit lane, and they have all jumped him. So for John Gooday, he comes out ahead of one of the Fords, but loses out to the other one. And that means that John is kind of where he was, isn't he, in that queue? Just not Darren Bell in front, it's Damien Hibbs.
Yeah.
Oh, Matt Wright, look, on the back of Dan Davis. So Matt Wright there, looking very sort of... he's looking racy tonight, isn't he? He's looking very racy.
Well, I'm keeping an eye on O'Reilly in the pit lane. Dan is... O'Reilly's already away.
Yeah, but it's a long, long stage to get off that limiter, isn't it? It's a long, long way to get off the limiter.
Well, Dan and
the question is if O'Reilly's pulled down a 5-second gap, then you know Dan has taken tyres and O'Reilly hasn't. Let's wait and see what happens. And O'Reilly is coming off the limiter any moment. Oh no, he's the 74. Sorry, I was looking at the 77. There's a 77 left the pitch.
It's got to be close.
Wrong number.
It's got to be
O'Reilly's
close.
off the limiter. Dan's coming through turn 3. Where's Kieran O'Reilly? There he is. Feeds right back into play. And round 2, we are as we were in this race. Dan Davis from O'Reilly from Matt Wright. Hibbs. Ben Rook has now got past John Gooday. So now John Gooday loses out to another Ford Mustang. Track limits. Matt Wright. Oh, what a shame for Matt Wright, who's got 3 laps now to just be a nuisance to O'Reilly and help Team Ferrari out with Sny and Harris in the pits. Where is McGowan? McGowan got jumped by Clouden.
Did Revlot not change tyres and McGowan did?
No, surely not. He's lost a lot of time there, because Clouden is 9 seconds behind Matt Wright. So McGowan's had a problem somewhere.
Matt Wright would be kicking himself for going a little bit too wide.
And that puts Clouden on the net podium. So that gives Ford now a double podium at the moment.
Yeah. You don't want to keep doing them track limits like
No.
that because you get disqualified.
Well, that's a 30-second drive-through. That's how long it is for a drive-through penalty, 30 seconds in and out. So Matt Wright is probably better off taking this now and then using that pace. I think he has peeled off into the pit lane. Oh, look at that! That was a slow Ferrari. That was Rob Smith out the final corner. Dana got up the inside of him before the final corner, and it just held O'Reilly from getting on the pace. And Rob Smith comes down the inside of O'Reilly into turn one. And Team Ferrari have a backmarker in the way of Kieran O'Reilly into turn one. O'Reilly will not be happy with that. Gary Clarble into the pitch. John Gooday's lost out massively to Ben Ruck and Hibbs in this one. One job right, he says. Mike Matthews in the chat. What are we hanging on at, Phil?
I was just trying to pick. I'm getting completely lost. Well, that's a position. Rob Smith's not pitted yet.
Oh, Rob Smith hasn't pitted yet. Oh, no, you're right. Sorry, Phil. Well done.
It's for position, yeah.
I'm glad you're looking at it. So it isn't to be blue flagged. It is for position. Rob Smith hasn't pitted.
Position.
Downey
so
stopped.
He's just held up.
Tips has just said that Downey stopped before his pit box, had to restart the engine. That's why he's lost so much time. So the Ferrari driver of Rob Smith has just held up O'Reilly as best he can and has allowed Dan Davis to get away. The next car Dan gets to lap, Rob Ramsell, another Ferrari.
Yeah. I was then thinking, hang on, Rob Smith's... That's a position.
I'm glad you're with it. I'm
never with it.
Dan Davis, drive-through penalty! Oh my God, the leader gets a drive-through and has that just thrown it the way of Ford. He comes into the pits for the drive-through penalty. It will be Ford, because according to this, Snai is ahead of Clouden, which means he's jumped McGowan as well. So it is Ford on the podium.
Yeah, but if even Dan got a track limits penalty, who's to say O'Reilly doesn't? Or is O'Reilly on his final warning?
This will be the interesting one. Ben Ruck, drive-through penalty. So a bit of bonus there for the Ferrari drivers. Ben Ruck will lose out to Matt Wright and to John Gooday. John's dropping off the back here massively, so I'm not sure what has happened to John in this race.
I tell you what, if I was Enzo
off.
Ferrari, that's Dan fired from the team straight away.
And Ramsell and Matt Wright.
Because he gave
apologies. It's not Ford on the Ferrari. Michael Harris, I didn't notice, has jumped Clouden in the pits. So it'll be Ford with Snai P3. Wow, what a topsy-turvy race here. No words. How many titles and still can't keep it in the lines? 10 titles apparently. And he keeps telling me he's a GT5 champion. But exactly, can't keep it within the white lines. Shocking. Mike's in Portsmouth. He's not going to be online all week in terms of actually on the headset properly. He's got his PlayStation Portal that's as laggy as anything when he connects to the internet. And he's got free roam to say what he wants. But 10-time champion Dan Davis, drive-through penalty, puts him... Guess where he is? Right in front of Matt Wright. The bonus for Dan is he's got Hibbs in front of him, but Ben's got to do a drive-through. Andy Aberdeen in the pits. Old Sim Racer leads this race, and Rob Smith still yet to pit. But, catch your breath a minute. O'Reilly leads this race, and guess what? It's an MSA Ford at the front.
Where have we seen this before? Taylor's had a drive through.
Mike Matthews just need a Taylor's get a now, and SimPlay have all took a DT. Steve Millington hasn't. He's our only hope because Andrew's had one, Rob's had one, Rob's had two, Dan's had one, Matt Wright's had one, and there we go. Ben's got to do his in one lap, otherwise that'll be disqualified, and that'll be no points for Ben's Ford.
Oh, look at Smith just getting out of the way. How's this Ferrari then?
Smith knows how to play the game, doesn't he? Smith is playing the game an absolute peach.
But he's got to pit within the next 2 laps, really.
Go on, Steve.
And so is old Sim Racer.
Speaking of Steve, he's under pressure from Steve Beck at the minute. So they've got ahead of the 69 of Aberdeen. Yeah, Dan's on the back of Hibbs. This is for position. Matt, we haven't had one here, no, Mike. We haven't had one. Neither's Gary or Kieran. Eh? Kieran may not have had a podium this season, but he's not had a drive-through at Misano. So there's every cloud has a silver lining. Gary Old Sim Race is in. I think Rob's going to go one more lap. Indeed he is. He's just on the grass a little bit. Brakes late. Tries to go around the outside because Sny's already up the inside. That's one Mustang through pretty quickly. Jamal Clouden now with McGowan 3.8 behind. Rob Smith has McClouden charging down on him in towards turn 1. Gets it. Can't get it stopped and turned in. Yeah, I think Rob's tyres may be starting to just drop off the side of a cliff at this moment in time. For Ferrari now, the hopes lie on Michael Harris, but he's 19 seconds off the back of O'Reilly at the moment. So, sorry, he's 5.6 seconds off the back of O'Reilly.
Oh, Dan past Hibbs into turn 1. But Hibbs side by side with him into turn 2.
Yeah, Dan, the door just wasn't open there for Matt Wright to get through. It may be on the exit, though, you know. Matt Wright may just have a look in towards turn 4. Is he alongside enough? No, he's not. Gets that power down towards 5. Now into the left-hander of 6. And we're all good. Hibbs actually has a dab on the brakes into 6. That's allowed Matt Wright to get right behind him. Ben Rook in the pits. So Dan's got 2 Mustangs past. Matt Wright gets 1. Old Sim Racer stays ahead of another. And I don't think Ben dropped behind Andrew Aberdeen, did he? Let's have a look. No, he did not in this one. But Matt Wright,
look
2
how
tenths
quick
off the back of
Dan's
Hibbs.
dropped Hibbs.
Yeah.
Did Hibbs change tyres or not?
Not sure. Not sure. Either way, Dan is flying. He'll be cursing himself. What's his gap? I wonder what the gap is. We're about to find out. The gap is down to E. Collin, 20 minutes. And the gap is... 16 seconds. That's a lot of work for Dan to do.
That is a lot of work.
But Collins on the back of McGowan, so could McGowan, if he's not able to catch Clouden, could this be where McGowan is able to maybe hold up Colin and get and bring Dan back into play?
Driven by Smith, though, to get back in front of him.
All that work he did for Dan, and Dan gets a drive-through.
Yep. He's fired. He's fired from SimPlay as well, yeah, don't Matt?
I'm not in charge of who's hired and fired. You'll have to speak to Mike Matthews on that one. Don't forget, if you are new, hit that thumbs up button and the bell to be notified when we are live. BMW night next week at Silverstone. The BMW
Matt Wright's in the pits.
Matt Wright is in the pits. What has happened there? Well, he's refueled.
Oh, Matt Wright, what was that?
He hasn't refueled enough. Phil, look on the timing screen. He hasn't refueled enough. In fact, I may as well tell everybody. He's got 5 litres.
Whoops.
Goes bad to worse for Ferrari. I tell you what, this is definite Ferrari strategies out there tonight.
This
Jamal
is the
Clouden.
F1 team.
Jamal Clouden is on the back of Sny at the moment. It's for P3.
It's definitely Ferrari F1 team.
Rob Smith still in the pits. Matt Wright in the pits. That'll be 25 seconds for Matt Wright as well. So, got a feeling it's a Ford night tonight. Got a feeling that Ford are going to take the spoils.
They'll all fall apart. Well, actually, every car on the grid will fall apart. The highest Ferrari's Harris, and he's 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Off.
And then McGowan, and then Dan, and then John, and then Old Sim Race. There's too many Ferraris down the bottom order, I think, for Ferrari to take this one tonight. Great little fight, by the way, behind Steve Beck. You've got Claubold, Millington, Ben Rook, all back there. Ben's going to be on a mission. Yeah, it is Ferrari strategy, but not wet. Only F1 is bad strats.
The last time Ferrari had a good strat is when Michael Schumacher wasn't a vegetable.
They must all be having a cup of tea that Lewis Hamilton suggested the other week. And that's why they're not refueling cars. Yeah, that's why they're not refueling cars tonight. Steve Millington and Ben Rook going at it then for 14th and 15th place. It's not really going to matter between these Mustangs, as Gary Claubold is actually gaining on the back of Steve Beck as well. It's not going to matter between these 4 Mustangs who finishes where, because it's not about solo points, it's about them team points. And I think it's pretty easy to say that Ford are doing the business.
Has O'Reilly sorted his rig out?
Not sure.
That could be a contention. Look at Colon on the back of McGowan.
Yeah, Colin is there. Gaining and gaining. Just going to go back down to that Clawball Beck fight. Beck's been in the thick of a few fights tonight.
God, look at all these gaggle of Mustangs. It's a herd of stallions. Because you've got Benny Barker in it as well. As they stampede towards the second hairpin. Get it?
Yeah. Good that. Enjoyed that. That's good. Phil Atherton, including your Ferrari, Mathew Duffin. What Ferrari?
Yeah.
Never driven the Ferrari. Lost at what DJ Phil means there. Really am.
Yeah.
Yeah, Colin on the back of McGowan. McGowan's losing out to Clouden. Dan's got the gap down to 15 seconds. A little bit behind. Look, Millington and Ruck going side by side. This is bringing Benny Varga into play a little bit. Ben on the outside, Millington on the inside. Ben right around the outside of turn 1. I'll have that inside line then for turn 2. That's a lovely move from Ben. Bit of a tap from Millington. That's allowed Benny Varga to come into play around the outside of 3. Hard to do it round there, but you could try and set yourself up into 4. But again, very hard to do it around there. 5:01.
Oh.
Rob Ramsell with the third drive-through of the evening. Hey, checks in the mail, Rob Ramsell. He's cashing them in. Colin's past McGowan. Colin has passed McGowan. Ford up another place.
I tell you what, he's just getting them all in before the season, right? That must be.
You'd like to think he's getting them all in before the season. John Gooday's running P9 after the pit stop. So pit stops and drive-through dramas has put John Gooday back up to 9th. Great to go on the radar. John's car has died in this race, and Darren Bell's going to look up the inside. That is a heck of a move from Darren Bell. And job done. John Gooday, P9, Team Ferrari lose more points here. And it's just slipping away from Ferrari. In fact, I think he's already slipped away from Ferrari. And it is slipping even more.
Matt Wright got the drive-through, and then Dan got one. Yeah, that was the end of Ferrari's challenge, really.
So you're in the commentary box, Mathew. It says you're in a Ferrari. Nope, it says I'm in a Ginetta.
It's me in a Ferrari.
Ian McGowan.
I thought you were probably forced in. Just put,
I turned it off for me and you. Turned it off for me and you. So we're all good. Benny Varga up the inside of Millington. Bit of contact made between the pair. And through goes Benny Varga. Matt Wright now chasing down Sturrock with Rob Smith hot on his heels as well. They're 5 seconds off the back of Sam Greaves. But I think it is day done for Ferrari.
Yeah, before everybody's Ferrari has, well...
Put it this way, they could do with this. If Ferrari are going to win this, I think Steve Beck, Gary Clawball, Ben Ruck, Benny Varga and Millington need an absolute pile-up so that they can... the Ferraris can, all them Ferraris by the back can possibly overtake them. But that needs to be a major one in this race, and I can't see that happening as Ben Ruck now looking up the inside of Gary Clawball. Clawball hangs out around the outside, should be able to power out the corner a bit better than Ben. No, Ben gets that run. Clawball's going to come back at him. No, they just rub doors. I'll tell you what, these Mustangs, they are going door to door. Gary Clawball up the inside, day late, dollar short. Ben Ruck tucks underneath. Thank you, Mama, for the carrot, says Ben Ruck on the other Ford driver. Benny Varga may fancy a run here as well, but no can do there. 14 minutes left of this race.
I was surprised Benny Varga is in the fourth. He's a Ferrari man normally. Or, yeah.
Maybe possibly just wanted to drive that front engine car, knowing that he's possibly sticking with the BM this season. Keep that familiarity.
Or Bentley.
Geordie Air said that the BMW is basically the Ford, but a little slower. So, if he is driving that BMW...
I know what he's driving.
I know what he's driving, and the Discord know what he's driving based after last night. After he couldn't post his pictures and videos because he wasn't working, and then they all of a sudden started working. Ben Ruck breaks early into turn 1. Then Sturrock has been passed by Matt Wright. Matt Wright 6.5 seconds off the back of Sam Greaves. Can he catch Sam and just take some points away from Ford in this race? Back up front, McGowan still within 9/10 of Colin. Cloudens dropped right off the back of Snyder. Good performance from Snyder, the new pro driver. Drive through Steve Millington. So that means everybody a part of the SimPlay stable has now had a drive through penalty, Mike. You've jinxed Steve Millington. But that will help Ferrari because they'll gain several places with that. Sorry, several drivers will gain 1 place.
So Who else is trying to get a drive-through in this race? We've got 12 minutes left.
Ben Rook's got ahead of Steve Beck. Now you've said that, let's go and do some investigating, shall we?
Mike in the chat.
Hey,
Psych.
You jinxed him. Ben Rook's on a mission. He's passed everybody at the minute, by the way. He's flying out there.
He's got 12 seconds behind old Sim Racer.
So let's have a look. Jamal, he doesn't have his loaded, it doesn't look like. Oh, adverts, so I can't tell you at the moment. Jamal's trying out the dashboard camera tonight. I don't think it's gone too bad for him, but at the same time, he's a little off the pace, isn't he? One race I'm not there and it all goes to pot. Well, it's what happens when you leave Matt Wright in charge, Steve Millington into the pits. Although Millington may only lose out to Aberdeen and Greaves, maybe even Wright, Sturrock and Smith. Just, we'll see. Let's wait and see. So we're on Jamal Cloudon's, and I can't see any drive-through. I can't see anything there. NLR Andy, he's on 2, so he's got one more to play with before he starts getting. And Millington's just had one. Ben doesn't. Has he got his going? Ben's on another 1. So Ben's on another 1. Borough Beck, so Steve Beck, he's on 3. So Steve Beck, got to be cautious. This may be why he's running a little slower at the moment, just to not get that final 1. John Gooday, he's on 2, so he's got 1 more to play with. Tan Davis is back on 2. Oh my god, Dan could have another drive through here. Tank doesn't have his up. Monkey Boy, Andrew Taylor, he's on a further 3. Sam doesn't have his up. Diz is on 3. Yeah, basically a lot of drivers are nearly on a few. Rob Ramsell's on 2 more, so Rob Ramsell could go for 4 drive-through penalties in this race. So let's see what happens. Snye is on the back of McGowan now, so Snye is flying at the moment.
McGowan is. You mean Harris?
Sorry, Harris. Sorry, McGowan's getting on the back of Diz.
The traffic.
5:01. Rob Ramsell, 4th drive-through of the day.
Is he got off on the most?
He does know. He does know. There's no bonus points for this, doesn't he?
Yeah. Is he got off on the most drive-throughs in a single race? It's a bit like Gary going through them those films where he had a Monaco
Grand Prix between himself and DJ Phil that time. No, that was fantastic. Sturrock's on the back, or was on the back of Rob Smith. He's a little slower, Sturrock here. Sturrock's got damage. That's put Andrew Taylor ahead of him. So that's more points there. We've got Steve Beck with a couple of Ford Mustang. In fact, no, Gary Clauble. What's up? Gary Clauble smashed the car up. Andrew Aberdeen's got ahead of him. So that might allow Matt Wright to catch him. Chris, lol, the track seems forgiving for track limits. Are they just pushing that hard? No, the track is an absolute nightmare. I think the only track worse than this for track limits is probably Cota. I think it is silly for track limits. 9 minutes left. Plenty more drive-throughs possibly still to come your way. So if you enjoy a good drive-through, stay tuned. Rob Ramsell's in the pit lane for his...
yeah, well, next time I go to a drive-through is to get a breakfast. A breakfast wrap at McDonald's.
Costa. Go get breakfast wrap from Costa. Beautiful.
No, it'd be the McDonald's outside Snetterton.
Oh,
that's all it goes.
Go find a Costa coffee, get a breakfast wrap there. They are absolutely lovely. Beautiful. This is Snye then, really doing a number and trying to catch on the back of Harris. I tell you what, good performance from Snye going into that pro season next season.
That'll be interesting in pro, isn't it?
Yeah.
If they have lots of drivers being promoted. Well, that's Rob Ramsell's track limit penalty. His 3rd track limit one and 1 for jumping the start. So.
Maybe a fun conversation in the chat after this, I reckon. I'll jump into the Discord and we'll have a quick speak before I go into the main PlayStation chat.
Yeah, there's still no, I won't hear that one. I'll probably do stuff. Dan here. McGowan's back on the back of Colin.
Yeah, he is.
Colin.
He is. Rob Smith just in front. Lap traffic. Collins closing in on Clouden as well, so I wonder if, because I couldn't see Clouden, so I wonder if Clouden's getting close to 3. Matt Wright's on the back of Sam Greaves.
You don't want that other
Oh,
one.
Sam's got a smashed up car.
Well,
so
you know you're saying about before smashing themselves up?
Yeah.
It might be happening.
Yeah, they are starting to. This could allow Matt Wright through at least.
But what could have been for Matt Wright if he actually put
huge,
fuel in the car?
Huge.
I don't think you could actually blame the Ferrari strategist because it's us who control how much fuel.
No,
the
excuse is I think still always going to be the Ferrari strategist. Sam runs a lot wide there.
Ferrari strategist from 2010 onwards, yeah, that's it.
Matt Wright side by side with Sam now. Coming into the penultimate corner, Matt Wright round the outside. Job done on Sam. Yes, nice move there from Matt Wright in the Ferrari. Sam, though, tries to tuck back underneath him as Matt Wright outbreaks himself. These two are fighting. Race leader right behind them. These two are having a good scrap. Coming into turn 1, blue flag for Matt Wright, but he doesn't want to yield just yet because he's in this fight with Sam. Matt wants to get past here.
Could have been for right. He had the similar pace as the race leader. He's already yielded. Yeah, he's yielded.
That's clever from Wright because Sam's yielded mid turn 4. That's going to really hurt his momentum. Look, and Matt Wright propels, has a huge wiggle and tucks back in. It could have worked so much better than that, but it didn't. Benny Varga 2/10 off the back now of Steve Beck, coming through towards the final part of this lap. We're just under 6 minutes left in this race. McGowan still within 5/10. 3.5 seconds though. Colin to Clouden, so that gap's come down a bit. So interesting to see there. But back to the Matt Wright fight a second. Surely he's got to be gaining on the back of Sam at Ports, because that Ford Mustang's going to be struggling in a straight line as Betson stays right out the way.
Yeah. The race leader powers us way through. Harris is fighting side by side with Snai for P2. The Mustang's core power came in, but the Ferrari's nimbleness came in on the brakes. Well, they got the battling Greaves and Wright ahead of them. Oh, sliding by Harris.
Sliding from Harris there. Colin and... Oh, press the wrong button again. Colin and McGowan still within half a second, just over. Colin still 3.5 behind Clouden. Clouden brought the gap down to Snai a little bit. Yes, the Clouden had a better lap that time around. Varga still behind. Matt Wright still behind. Matt Wright now side by side, coming down the back, the back straight. On the inside, on Sam Greaves is Matt Wright. Can he get it through the corner and out? Think he can. Sam may still have that power of the Mustang to stay there, you know. And he does. And he's going to have the inside line for the next corner. Great little fight this between Sam and Matt Wright. Matt Wright's going to try and hang it round the outside. Small bit of contact, not a lot. But that's allowed Matt Wright as he just stayed there. Has he got enough now in the straight line? He's on the outside line for all the kinks coming up on this back part of the circuit. Right to the outside of Sam. Will he just lift a little bit more and tuck it underneath? Sam brakes, they touch. They're both off. They're both off. And that'll allow the leaders of Snai and Harris through. And they come back on. And there was contact there. That'll bring Millington into play. Speaking of Snai and Harris, they are bumper to bumper at the moment, as is Colin and McGowan.
Yeah, I'm watching the Harris Snai battle with 3.5 minutes left.
Oh, McGowan, poor exit out the final corner there. And I believe that Sam, who is the fifth now, that's Millington and Rob Smith. So Rob Smith close to Millington. He'll be wanting to make up another place for Team Ferrari, just get some more points in the bag, as will Matt Wright over Sam. But Matt Wright out the way for Jamal Clouden. Where will Sam let Clouden go now? Looks like he's going to do it on the back straight. Just under 3 minutes to go. Oh, Clouden has a big wiggle. Keeps it all together though.
The battle for second rages on between Harris and
Oh, Cloudon's been allowed through at the first hairpin. I thought that put Matt Wright side by side, but it didn't. Let's go back to the battle that Phil's watching and between Snai and Harris here for second and third.
To horsepower.
Can this be a 1-2 for Ford?
I've noticed Dan's not really made inroads on McGowan either.
No, he hasn't.
He's only 13 seconds behind now.
McGowan still
dropped Hibbs like a
he has.
Stone.
Dropped Hibbs badly. Benny Vogel on the back of Steve Beck. Matt Wright's on the back of Sam. And Rob Smith gaining on the back of Millington here. So, couple of Ferrari drivers looking for extra points, but also Snai in the Ford looking to get past Harris. Harris pulls away in that final sector. McGowan tighter to Colin as they come down the start line here. 1:37 left. Where is the race leader? I think there'll be one lap left. This is the penultimate lap. No, right, the fastest lap of the race. Yeah, there'll be one lap left after this.
I think it's... I should have said Ford. Then Ferrari would have won. Commentator's curse and all that. Can we have a Bentley versus just Bentley race one day?
Bentley versus Jack.
Yeah, Bentley versus... Or V12 Aston versus Jack.
McGowan getting close to the back of Colin. At the moment, let's just drop down to Benny Varga, who's still... In fact, he's lost out a little bit. Matt Wright still on the back of Sam, and Rob Smith is still trying to get past up front, but McGowan now pushing Colin down the back straight. But this is the horsepower, like Phil said a moment ago. And this is where Colin's just going to pull away from him. Drive through for Snai! Oh, Sir Jamal's going to give himself a podium. Snai has cost himself a drive-through, and he's going to tumble behind Dan Davis, I think possibly in front of Hibbs.
He's already coming in to serve it, so...
To be a 30-second penalty, if not, so he's got to do it now. But Snai has just cost himself a podium. That's going to put Jamal Clouden on it.
Harris could now relax a little bit now.
Harris can. Colin can't. We're on the final lap. Colin defending heavy from McGowan. So let's keep our eyes on Snai. Where's Dan Davis? Dan's got Monkey Boy, or Andrew Taylor, should I say, just ahead of him. Andrew not moving out of the way. Dan will be calling him a traitor and all sorts at the moment, I reckon, as Andrew Taylor under blue flags defending for Team Ford here. Dan gets ahead of Snai. So yeah, Snai comes out P7. So that promotes 2 Ferraris out of all of that, but it also promotes Ford into better point scoring positions, and Andrew Taylor still not moved out of the way. Dan's got damage on his car, so Dan must have had a moment somewhere. And I said we wasn't done with the drive-throughs. Dan's still flashing Andrew. There will be words. I think we may have to jump into that. Dan's just dive-bombed it into the hairpin. Dan's had enough of that. He's dive-bombed Andrew Taylor, and Andrew's come back at him as Dan went deep.
Meanwhile, O'Reilly is now coming through the final couple of corners.
Oh, Harris has dropped it! Harris has dropped it! Clouden second, it's a Ford 1-2 as O'Reilly comes out the final corner. Jamal Clouden, Christmas has come early for you, but O'Reilly wins the race. Jamal Clouden. Oh, I've pressed the replay. I've pressed the wrong button. We've pressed the wrong button.
Jamal Clouden second.
Thank you.
Harris. And track limits again for Rob Ramsell.
Oh, dear me. Rob's had a nightmare. So Clouden second, Harris third.
Clouden fourth. He held off from McGowan.
Harris.
Dan's not finished.
Clouden must think it's Christmas, by the way, because he has looked in to 2 places in the final 2 laps there. You've got to be in it to win it, as they say. Dan finishes the race, just waiting for Hibbs now. So Dan Davis P6.
Snai 7th.
Colin 4th. Snai was 7th. McGowan was 5th. Dan 6th. Hibbs P8.
Bell.
D-Bell on his return P9. Yeah, good race for him. John Goodey. Solid performance. Just died at the end P10. Old Sim Racer P11. Ben Ruck we're just waiting on. He's on the back of a Ferrari. Not quite sure who that is.
It's a lap Ferrari, but...
So Ben Ruck 12th. Benny Varga P13. Good race. Andrew Aberdeen 14th. As he comes across the line. And then it is all the other drivers. Let's just get these quickly. So 15th place was Gary Clarball, who was Ford. Beck was 16th. Sam Greaves was 18th in the end. Billington 19th. Andrew Taylor 21st.
Matt Wright 17th.
Rob Smith was 20th. Sturrock was 22nd. Michael Johnson was 23rd. Matt Wright was 17th. Ford beat Ferrari. 474 points for Ford. 441 for Ferrari. They are in the chat. They are in the Discord chat in the team server. But a Ford won too. And Jamal Clouden, well, I'd put the lottery on this week because that could be well worth a few pennies for Jamal Clouden. Let's see if anybody joins us in the comms box. If not, we will get ready to end the stream there. But Jamal Clouden, I tell you what, good race from him. Just had his head down, didn't do anything wrong, just sort of ran his race. And that was pretty much it, Phil, wasn't it, for him? He just did what he needed to do.
Quite a race for Jamal. Lovely little P2. And kept his nose clean. Didn't get a track limit penalty.
MSA
like
Ford on
Davis.
top again.
Yeah, MSA that's an omen for the season. But aren't they running Ferraris this season?
Possibly. I've not seen anything yet. I don't know. Oh, no, in fact, yeah, I think they are. So.
Yeah, and they're running a certain energy drink. They are energy drinks.
They are. Yeah.
They're not good for you, any of them.
Right, let's get the server ready to go. But, Phil, thank you very much for joining me in the commentary box. It's been a pleasure to have you back in once again. It doesn't look like anybody's going to be joining us for a quick chat. So, what we will do is we will leave it there. Next Thursday, we'll be back for the BMW night, 1 hour race around Silverstone. Multiclass BMW M4 GT3, BMW M2s and BMW M4 GT4. You will not want to miss that one. That's going to be a cracking night's worth of racing. Dan Davis will be bringing you the action of that one as we go live from Silverstone next week, and we'll get to see what will be there. We'll be looking forward to that one, that is for sure. And then the week after that'll be next Thursday, and then 2 weeks today it will be the final fun event of the season. It will be Monza, and it will be the GT2s that we get to see on the track for the first time. Sign-ups will be going out for the patrons for them very soon, and then sign-ups will be going out very shortly for the BMW the BMW night for the public as well, because that'll be the next one to do. But from me and Phil, thank you all for joining us tonight. It's been a cracking night's worth of racing, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.